อยากจะพาทุกท่านไปเดินทางร่วมกับเธอผ่านเสียงดนตรีที่ทำให้เธอเติบโตและทำให้เธอเข้าใจคุณค่าของความพยายามและความไม่ยอมแพ้ขอเชิญพบกับสปีกเกอร์เบลล่าชัญญาเบลล่าสมบูรณ์เวชการในทอล์กที่มีชื่อว่า thesoundofgrowth
And for our next story, our speaker would like to take everyone into the world of music. The world that has taught her what it really means to grow, to keep going, and to never give up. So please warmly welcome our lovely speaker, Bella Chanya Bayla Somboonvechakarn, the sound of growth. Please give her a big applause.
ขอเสียงปรบมือด้วยครับ
How do you feel after listening to this piece of music? At the first glance, you may think it's about an ocean. After all, Chopin's Etude, Opus 25, number 12, is often called the Ocean Etude. But Chopin doesn't just give us simple waves. He gives us something much deeper. Sorrow, a yearning, sublimity. Within its waves, we hear a restlessness that never resolves. Beauty, sorrow, and longing woven together so tightly that it cannot be separated. For me, this piece has always felt like a mirror. On the surface, it's technical, full of endless arpeggios. But
underneath it carries something I've known in my own life. Hardships. The struggle to express feelings that words cannot, and the search for a voice when silence feels easier. That's why music has never been just sound to me. It's been my friend, my language, and my constant. That journey started when I was a very energetic young child, the type of child that needed somewhere to put all of that energy into. I've been exposed to music ever since I was young, listening to baby Mozart in the womb, performing classical music, and being a pianist myself. I've tried numerous activities, ballet, ice skating, swimming, but nothing really ever held on to me. I'd lose interest after just a few months. But music kept me still. Music kept me focused, and music soon became the one thing that felt like home, a constant friend that I could always turn to. At 3 years old, my parents discovered that I had perfect pitch. I could hear a note or two and tell you exactly what it was. When I was 4 years old, I completed my ABRSM Grade 1 in piano performance, and when I was 9 years old, I completed ABRSM Grade 8. By the age of 11, I had obtained my LTCL diploma in piano performance from Trinity College London, a qualification that many pianists obtain much later in their lives. Along the way, I also won more than 100 international competitions, performing worldwide and starting as early as 5 years old. But each medal, each trophy, and each title made me believe more and more that I was unstoppable. People said, "She's a prodigy, she's gifted." And I believed them a little too much. I thought the talent would always be enough. Every success made me a little too sure of myself until I started to think that talent would always carry me. Then came that competition 2 years ago. The hall was huge. The lights shone brightly, and the piano felt enormous. I sat down confident, and maybe a little too confident. So I played well, or at least I thought I did, but when the results were announced, my name wasn't even close. It was at that moment that I realized that in a room full of excellence, good wasn't going to be enough. That night, I cried because I finally understood talent is not enough. Later, I heard Roger Federer's 2024 Dartmouth commencement address, where he said, "The truth is, I had to work very, very hard to make it look easy." And it clicked. All of those pianists who looked so effortless weren't just relying on talent, they had prepared. And that's when I realized, if you want it badly, you have to work for it badly. And so I changed, or rather, music changed me slowly. Scales until my fingers ached, breaking down Bach, Mozart, Chopin, Schumann, and many more, measure by measure. Recording myself and listening to every mistake, fixing, repeating. And I want you all to know something very important. I'm not homeschooled and I don't go to a special music academy. I go to school just like everyone else. I do my homework, my exams. I'm active in things like school clubs, debate, and math olympiads. And I do enjoy going out with my friends. But at the end of the day, I sit back down at the piano and practice. Because to me, if you want something badly enough, you make the time for it. And little by little, my music started to change. I wasn't just playing notes anymore. I was listening to every tone, every phrase. I was telling stories through sound. Early this year, I entered the 2025 International Robert Schumann Piano Competition, a world-class event where some of the best young pianists from all across the globe come together to compete. And it wasn't just one round. It was 3 whole performances. The preliminaries consisted of a full solo repertoire, semifinals with completely new pieces, and the finals where I got to perform a concerto with a full orchestra. And that final round was my favorite because concertos are what I really love the most. To me, a concerto isn't just the piano showing off, it's the conversation. The piano begins a phrase and the orchestra answers. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we argue, and sometimes we rise together. To me, it feels like being part of something bigger than myself. And that's when I realized to be extraordinary is to start by doing the ordinary extra well. Scales, fingerings, endless repetitions, they're not glamorous per se, but they're the foundations for extraordinary. And this time, I didn't go home empty-handed. I won second place. But more than the award, I really felt a sense of pride because I wasn't just lucky. I had prepared and I had earned it. To me, the real prize has never been the trophy. It's been what music has given me. Music taught me how to fail and try again. Music taught me how to listen, not just to notes, but to other people. Music taught me that creativity and discipline should be partners and not opposites. And music taught me pride. Not the type that comes from applause, but the type that grows in silence. From effort, from persistence, from knowing you gave your all. And I want to thank those who once said, "You're not musical enough." Because to me, those words become fuel. And they reminded me that music isn't only for the so-called talented. It's for everyone willing to dedicate themselves. That's why I believe every child should have the chance to pursue music. Not so they all become musicians, but because music builds confidence, character, and growth. Lessons that last far beyond the stage. A study by the U.S. Department of Education in 2012 actually found that students involved in music are twice as likely to score in the top 20% in math and reading tests. So when a child learns music, they're not just simply learning skills, they're building their mind and their character. I, for one, feel lucky because through it all, my family has been there with me. My parents, my grandparents, my relatives, they've always supported me. They never pushed me to win, but to grow. And they believed not in the result, but the process. And to me, that belief really kept me going, even in the toughest times. So, dear parents, when a child learns music, maybe when your child learns music, they're not just simply learning music, they're building themselves. And all the little steps along the way are simply building blocks. Some made of life lessons, some experiences, and some simply just their love for music. And to the youth, if you ever feel lost or unable to put your emotions into words, try music. It might become the voice you didn't know you had. Because music is a way to find you, to find yourself, to navigate through loneliness, confusion, or even joy. Music becomes a mirror of who you are and reveals the real you, what really matters. Because music is more than sound. It's growth, it's connection, and it's healing. This is why music must be a part of our lives, not just for entertainment, but for the way it changes us, unites us, and makes us whole once again. The shy become confident, the quiet find their voice, the lonely feel included, the restless find calm, and the lost finally find their calling. And in a world full of noise, music makes us whole.